Hello guys, and welcome once again to the KNUST Agric Biotech Hub. Um, and for this our lesson, we're going to do some few things. We're going to install some packages. We're going to load some packages. We're going to read data from Google Sheet, okay, not Excel sheet, Microsoft Excel sheet, but from Google Sheet. And then we're also going to plot some bar graphs based on the data we will read in the Google Sheet file. Okay, so I'll need you guys to install these packages if you do not have them. Um, so packages, I'll create an object called packages to install. Okay, and these are the packages I want you guys to install. I need you guys to install ggplot2, that is grammar of graphics. We'll need to install dplyr. Okay, I'll need you guys to also install tidyverse. Yeah, tidyverse. And I'll need you guys to finally install Google Sheets. Sorry, Google Sheets 4. Okay, I need you guys to install these packages. So since I've created a vector object, I can just install them at bulk. Okay, so we could go install the packages, and we could have the list of packages, that is the packages we want to install. So packages, I'm going to keep it as packages to install. Okay, and packages to install is basically these packages. Okay, so packages to install, and we're going to set dependencies to true. Okay, we'll like to install the dependencies as well, like have all the dependencies. And you could prefer, if you want to make it quiet as well, you set it to true. Okay, now once this is done, it should be connected to the internet. So once this is done, you just have to run, and it will install. Once again, I have these packages already. So because I have these packages, you could see that it says error in installed packages. Rather, it is going to update my packages. But if you do not have it, it will go ahead to install. For those of you who would want to use the let me just go back for you to see something. For those of you who want to use the install UI, okay, in the packages tab, okay, you could still go the same way. So ggplot2, you have it there, you leave a space, you go to dplyr. Okay, this, you leave a space, you go to tidyverse. Okay, this, you can also leave a space and go to Google Sheets, Google Sheets 4, that. And then what do? You just click on install. You make sure the install dependencies is turned on, because you want to install all the dependencies. And then you click on install to install. Okay, good. So once you are through with that, we would have to load all the packages. We'll have to load all the packages. Okay, we'll have to load all the packages. Now we could either load the packages um, independently, okay, or we could write a for loop to load all the packages. Okay, so I'm going to we are now okay with for loops, so I'm going to use a for loop. So for loop to load all packages. Okay, so for loop to load all packages. And how are we going to do this? So we have our packages here, right? So we're going to say for, let's get the syntax. So we're going to keep it for I'm going to use for pack. Okay, I'm going to keep it for pack in what packages, um, packages to install. Okay, meaning that for pack in packages to install, it means that pack is a variable and could take the position of either ggplot2. So if it takes the position of ggplot2, ggplot2 will be loaded. After that, once that is completed, pack will now come and take the position of dplyr. Okay, and then dplyr would also be what, sorry, loaded. We are loading the package, we are activating it. So dplyr will also be loaded. Then once dplyr is done, pack will now come and take the place of tidyverse, okay, and also do the same. Okay, good. So now what do we want to do? We said we want to load everything, right? So we're going to the library option, and at the library option, okay, we're going to put pack here because pack is what we want to load. And the next thing is that we're going to set character only, okay, to true. So character only, we're going to keep it at true. Why are we making it so? Because what we have here, they are actually embedded in quotes, they are characters. So it's just going to help the library to, you know, load it as it's supposed to be. For instance, if we were to load it one after the other, okay, we would have gone library, and let's say if it is Google Sheets 4 I want to load, I could go Google Sheets 4, and this is it. I could run this, right? I could run this, and that is it. But then the character only comes in because we have them wrapped in what, quotes. You could see that we have them wrapped in what, quotes. So since we have them wrapped in quotes, we just specifying that they are characters, so you know, maneuver your way out. But over here you could see character only has been set to false, so we don't need to bring any quotes here. Okay, so I'm just going to take this off. So to detach it, I'm going to use detach, the detach function. And what do we want to detach? We want to detach package Google Sheets, Google Sheets 4. Okay, and we're going to set unload to true. Okay, it should be taken out. Okay, it should be unloaded. And yeah, now you can see in the packages tab that Google Sheets 4 has been unticked, it has been unloaded. Okay, so here I'm just going to keep it, I'm just going to keep this here. If you guys want to reproduce it, okay, you can just remove the comment and then you do the same thing. Okay, good. Let me just erase this thing a bit and expand this a bit. Good. So we're writing a for loop to load all the packages, right? So we said for pack in packages, in packages to install, this is what we want to do, right? So now let's run, and as you can see in my console, you can see that all the packages have been activated. Okay, everything has been activated. Okay, everything has been activated. I didn't really have to, you know, call it one by one. No, I didn't have to call it one by one. You can see for yourself, everything has been activated. If you wish to go one after the other too, is allowed. Okay, that is the purpose of this studies. We are not saying you should go by our way. Okay, we want you to be creative. So if we want to load them one after the other, okay, we could go library, Google Sheets 4, just like I did earlier. Then we go library again, um, um, dplyr, okay, dplyr. Then we go library again, um, what is it, tidyverse, okay, tidyverse. Okay, so once you are done, blah blah blah, once you are done, you can run all of them independently. Okay, good. So now we have, I'm going to take this from here because we have loaded the package, right? So I'll put this here, and I'm going to keep this as loading packages in R, but then individually. Okay, good. Please don't get lost, stay with me. Okay, yeah, so good. Now I'm going to show you the data sheet will be um, important. Okay, the data sheet will be pulling from Google Sheets. Okay, I'm going to show it to you. This is how it looks like. This is how it looks like. Okay, this is how the data sheet looks like. We have these columns. Okay, and I have saved it as KNUST Agric Biotech Hub. And since the lesson is lesson 15, that becomes the tab sheet names. Now these particular sheet, I'm going to share the link to you guys so that you can practice with what I have done. You could use this data sheet to also practice and reproduce what I have done. Okay, because reproducibility is key. Okay, good. So good. So now let's dive in. So you've all seen the data sheet we're going to read into R, right? So now let's see how it's being done, or let's see how to do that. Okay, so first we'll need to authenticate. Okay, we'll need to authenticate, and what we're going to do is that we're going to go Google Sheet 4, and then we're going to look for the Google Sheet 4 authentication function. Okay, now we authenticating or authorizing is just okay. Let me just do it so that you see what happens. So when I run this, okay, you will see that it says the Google Sheet 4 package is requesting access to your Google account. Okay, so if you have an existing account, you'll just be asked to choose. Okay, to choose. But if you do not have an existing account, then you have to go for the option 1, and then you would be asked a few questions, and once you provide the necessary answers to those questions, you'll be you'll satisfy this request. Okay, good. But since I have linked I have my Google Sheet account, and you can see it's appearing here, I'm just going to select 2 because that is what I want. Okay, I want to use this account to access the Google Sheet. To access Google Sheet. The Google the file in the Google Sheet. Sorry. Okay, the Google Sheet file. Sorry. Yeah. So so yeah. So here we authorize. Okay, so we authorize here. And the next thing is that we're going to now read the data sheet. Okay, so in reading the data sheet, let's create an object called data from, let's say, Google Sheets. That's how we're going to keep it. Okay, that's the name we are going to give to it. And how do we read the file from Google Sheets? So please follow. We're going to go with the same Google Sheets 4 package, and we are going to import read sheet. Okay, basically we are importing. Okay, this is the package. We've already loaded it, but I am keeping it this way so that you know where this came from. It means that this package or this function was imported from this package. Okay, this function was imported from this package. Okay, good. So here we have these arguments. Okay, we have these arguments. Okay, we have these arguments, and this SS, if you read, it says that it is a file ID, a URL, or blah blah blah. You can read. Okay, good. So we're going to keep the SS to be the URL, sorry, yeah, it's supposed to be fun. So yeah, so the URL. Okay, we're going to import the URL from, we're going to copy the URL, sorry, from the web browser. Okay, so as you can see, this Google Sheet has this URL. So let's copy this URL, and saying it fast makes it sound strange. You are right, yeah. So yeah, and we're going to wrap this in quotes and paste it here. Okay, and since we are just dealing with one sheet, okay, since we are just dealing with one sheet, um, okay, it's too long, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So let's just copy the whole of this from here so that we'll create an object for that. Okay, I mean it makes things easier. So I'm going to keep this as Google link. So Google Sheet link, Google Sheet link. Okay, and we're going to paste this here instead so that when we run we have this object bearing the link. Okay, so yeah, so let me just give a comment here. Object pool or storing object storing Google Sheets link. Okay, so here the SS, since we have created an object to store this, we're just going to bring the object here, which is Google Sheet link. Okay, and um I was saying that if you look at the Google Sheets we have here, okay, we only have one tab, just one tab. Okay, so it's either, since we have one tab, we can just go to the argument provided here, that is sheet. We can just go here and we specify which sheet we want to deal with. We could say sheet 1, or we could call it by its name. Okay, so I'm going to say sheet 1, and here for the skip logic or the skip function argument, sorry, the skip argument, I'm hungry. For the skip argument, okay, the other time we saw that if you have a number of rows you wish to skip, okay, you're going to use um the skip argument. So here, let me just introduce one empty row. So I'm just going to introduce an empty row above so that we can make use of the skip argument. Okay, so we are going to skip one row, right? Good. And this could be kept this way, this could be kept that way, and this could come here so that it makes it a bit presentable. Good. Now let's run, and it's running, and we're done, right? We're done. So now let's read or print. Let's print data, our data sheet from, sorry, our data sheets from Google Sheets. Okay, using the object, using the object data from Google Sheets. Okay, so when I print this, you will see that I have this. Okay, what we saw there, we now have the same thing here. Okay, we now have the same thing here. What if we need to view it, okay, to see it in a better form? Okay, so we could view it, and this is how it appears. Okay, we have all the genotypes, which all the columns you saw there, we have all those columns here exactly as they are. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is we're going to plot a simple bar plot or bar graph. Okay, and the columns we are going to use as the column designate, the column name, student name, and then the column for math scores. Okay, student names and math scores. This is the first thing we're going to do. We're going to draw a graph, a bar graph for these ones. Okay, good. So good. So first, since we are looking to draw a bar graph for these columns, it becomes expedient, it becomes important for us to select or to pull out those columns. We do not want to have these ones as well. uh, as well, we want to just have, sorry, we want to just have student name and student score. those two columns. That's what we want to deal with first. Okay, so I'm going to keep it here as plotting a bar graph, a simple bar graph, for plotting a simple bar graph for columns student name and math score. Okay, good. So how do we do this? First, let's create an object called first data. Okay, first data, and we're going to subset these two columns. We could go the normal way to call the data sheet for Google Drive, and we could subset this and that, right? Or better still, we could go this way. I'm just going to skip one line and come here and explain something to you. We could go call names for data sheets. Okay, we could get a column names for this. Sorry, we could get a column names for this. I round everything, so we appended. Okay, so we could get a column names for this, and these are the column names. Okay, so here to subset the column names, math score and student name, all we'll need to do is that we're going to call the object called data sheet 4, because that is the parent data set, and we're going to subset this first one. I'm going to just copy this and leave a comma, and we're going to subset that. Okay, this and that. Now I'm just going to leave a space. Please stay with me, don't be confused, and put this here. Okay, so that I give a comment, get column names. Okay, good. Now we can just subset these columns, and we'll have them. Okay, we could go this way, and you can see that we have this particular one. So this is the first way we could have done this, right? Now, you recall I asked you guys to install the dplyr package or the tidyverse package. We loaded them. So from those packages, we're going to try a second alternative to achieve this. Okay, a second alternative. So I'm going to keep this as first data alt 1, which we all know this is the first alternative, alt 1, and then we're going to do the same thing, first data, but this time it's going to be alt 2. Okay, now with that, since we're going to use the dplyr package, and in the dplyr package we're going to use a function called select. Okay, what we will need to do is that we'll have to call the parent data sheet. After we call the parent data sheet, we're going to pipe, but we're going to use the pipe operator that comes with dplyr. Okay, this is the piping operator that comes with dplyr. So we're going to use this. Okay, and once we pipe, we're going to select. Okay, use the select function. Okay, so you could see that it comes from the dplyr package. Okay, it comes from the dplyr package. I could just click on this, or we could just import. We could just import. So dplyr, we could import so that we all know where exactly it came from. It came from the dplyr package. The select function came from the dplyr package. Now what are we going to select? We're going to select student name, and you see that it comes up, and we're also going to select math score, and it just comes up. And when I run this, observe the console, we still have the same thing. So depending on what you want to go for. Okay, if you want to go for this alternative, that is good. If you also want to go for this alternative, that is also good. Okay, just like I said, we need you guys to be creative. Okay, no one is going to penalize you for using this and not using that. Okay, good. So I'm going to wrap this up in a comment. Okay, I'm going to give a comment to this line because I would want to deal with this and not that. Okay, I want to deal with this and not that. If you want to deal with this and not this, you can comment this. So I'm just going to comment this. Okay, I've just left a comment. If I want to activate it or reuse the line, I'll have to just delete the hash. Okay, so I've commented this. So now let me run this and let me give a preview of the first 6 rows of this data set, which is first data alt 2, and I have the first 6 rows. So here I have the students' names and their various scores for a mass test. Isaac, Caroline, Amos, Israel, Richmond, Musfiratu, and the rest follows. Okay, now we're going to draw a simple bar graph. Now that we have our data, we want to draw a simple bar graph for them. Okay, for this data. Okay, so of course I think I have it here. Good. So let's go ahead. So let me just keep it as now plotting. Okay, now plotting. Okay, so we're going to use the package called ggplot2. Okay, and from the package called ggplot2, which is grammar of graphics, basically it holds a lot of functions for plotting graphs. You have if you want to plot histograms, if you want to plot a scatter graph, point graph, curves, okay, you can use this package. Okay, so out of this package, we are going to import the function ggplot. Sorry, we're going to import the function called ggplot, and if you check the argument, we have data, we have mapping, and the rest follows. Okay, now I want you guys to set the first argument, which is data. This data they are requesting has to do with the parent set, the parent data set from which you're going to obtain your x values and your y values. Okay, the parent set. So the parent set here in this context with what we are dealing with, the parent set here is what? First data alt 2. Now for the mapping argument, we're going to call the function called aesthetics. Okay, AES. Okay, but it's aesthetics, meaning that in this function, okay, you're going to add a bit of icing to your graph. Okay, you're just going to specify in the mapping argument, you're going to specify, okay, your x and y values. Okay, where should ggplot obtain your x values from the data set you have given, from the data object you have given? Where should it obtain your x values, or which column is going to be your x value and which column is going to be your y? So here we're going to make our x values, okay, be that is the horizontal axis. We're going to make it be the names of the students. Okay, so our horizontal axis is going to be the names of the students. So we're going to say student name, okay, and our y is going to be what? The math score. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this down here a bit so that it makes the thing look a bit presentable. Then this yeah, so from here in this same aesthetics, okay, if you check the argument, you have other things. We have fill, we have color, we have alpha, we have shape, we have size, we have line width, line type, group. Okay, all these arguments that we have here, all these arguments, okay, have specific roles they play. So for instance, if it is the fill, it means that um, if you have a particular column, okay, that is um, a factor of the variables you are trying to plot. If it's a factor, you would specify, okay, that fill by, let's say, treatment, or fill by this factor. If it is color, color has to do with the outer line of the bar. Okay, we would go into it deeper, but for this particular tutorial, I just want to keep everything short. We are just plotting a simple bar graph. I don't want to make things complex for you guys. Okay, so good. So we have this here. Okay, we are done with this. Let me do this so that, yeah, let me just do this. Yeah, so I'll keep it this way since I'm not entering a lot of arguments. So this is for the first set, ggplot. You could see that when I put it here, when I put a cursor here, this and this is highlighted. This is the first argument. Okay, this creates the environment. This alone, this here, creates the environment for your graph to be plotted. So if I should just run this for you guys to see, you see that if I actually run this, you would see here that in my plots tab, okay, the area, okay, has been drawn based on my specifications. Okay, my x axis, I said students' name should be there, so you see that I have all my students' name there, and my y axis, I said the scores should be there, so I have all the scores indicated. Do you see that? So the interesting thing is always your ggplot. Remember, ggplot2 is the package, and ggplot is the function that will create this environment for you. Okay, and if you run it independently, you can see that it has been created. Okay, good. Now in this space, or in this area that has been created, what do we want to do? We said we want to plot what? A bar graph. We want to plot a bar graph. So since we want to plot a bar graph, we need to include or add the function for plotting bar graph, which exists in the package called ggplot2. Okay, so here, we're going to add plus. Okay, plus what? Plus the function called geom_bar. Okay, plus the function called geom_bar. Now if you check the argument here, it says geom_bar needs mapping, it needs data, the start, and then position, right? But for mapping and data, we have filled those arguments here already. So we are not going to take those arguments and use them here. The argument we're going to take is the start. Okay, we're going to take the argument for start. Now if you check, each observation has its own score. Okay, Isaac, for instance, doesn't repeat itself over and over. No, it has its own score. So we are going to identify, or we are going to plot based on identity. We're going to plot based on identity. Supposing we have Isaac repeating about 2 or 3 times, and we wish to plot based on count. Okay, basically we want ggplot to count all the Isaacs, find the the average and plot it for us, okay, then we would go with count. But since we are plotting by identity, we're going to indicate that, oh, we are plotting by identity, okay. And basically this is all we need, okay. So now when I run this and you check, you would see that our plot has been plotted. Our plot has been plotted, okay. We have our plots being plotted, okay. Good. Now we want to, add a little bit of color to the bars, okay. So we're going to use the fill function here, or argument here, and we're going to specify the color we want our bars to be plotted, okay. So I'm going to plot our bars with a forest green color, okay. Now I need you guys to pay close attention here, okay. So here in the aesthetics function, we saw that we had an argument called fill, right? Now this argument called fill, like I said, is used specifically when you kind of have, okay, you have some factors, a column for factors, and that particular column, for instance, okay, is what you want to use to, color or fill your bars. But if you want to define your own colors, then you can define that particular color in the particular function you are trying to use to plot your graph. So since I'm using bar graph, I use the fill function right inside a bar graph, and this is going to color my bars with the forest green color. So do you see that? So here I have it being plotted, okay. I have my bars being colored. Now if you would check, let's zoom this. If you would check, the background has an ash color, okay. The background has an ash color. We want to do away with this ash color, okay. So to do away with this ash color, we're going to add another word, plus. Do you see that? We're going to add another plus and specify the function, or call the function that will do away with the ash background, okay. So good. So here the function that is going to help us do that is called theme minimal. Now theme minimal, all these while, please observe, all these while I haven't assigned all these scripts into an object. So the moment I put, because I'm knitting everything with a plus, it means that all these are one. So the moment I put a cursor here and I just run, it works, okay. So now kindly observe again. If I zoom this, kindly observe again, you'll see that now the ash background we had has disappeared, right? Good. Now that the ash background has disappeared, I want us to do something else. I want us to change the scale, okay, on the y-axis. You see, it has made the graph look a bit bigger, like it's too big. What is this? You understand? Yeah. So what we're going to do is that we're going to use a function called scale y continuous, because we want to define the actual scale for the y-axis. We're going to use scale y continuous. Now here we use theme minimal, okay? But there are other themes you can use. For instance, you could use theme, I call it black and white, but it's not black and white, it's BW. Yeah, you could use this theme and see what it produces. Okay, it produces something like this. If you use this particular theme, okay, it looks like the ash background is taken away, but then it gives this outline to your graph. Okay, this outline to your graph, that is theme BW. Okay, good. There is another theme which is theme classic. Theme classic. And if I run this for you to see what theme classic does, I'm going to show you. This is what theme classic does. Okay, this is what theme classic does. And this is actually how we want to keep our bar graph. So this is the final thing we want to do. You see, this is okay. Okay, we have our y-axis, our x-axis represented beautifully. So depending on the theme you want to use, you can go ahead. But for this, I'm going to use the theme classic because this is how I want my bar graph to look like at the end of the day. Okay, and you can see classic removes all the grids, the ash grids or the colored grids you saw. Okay, theme classic removes everything. Okay, all right. So someone might ask, okay, how do I identify all the themes to use? How do I identify all the themes to use? Okay, so to identify the themes to use, you simply have to go to ggplot2 and you go for the theme, okay, and you have these ones. Okay, and supposing let's say you call theme draw and you do not know exactly what theme draw does, you could search it up. You could use the help function. Okay, you could use the help function to do that. So a question mark and then you have the help. Okay, and you read about the various themes. You could pop it up. I showed you guys in the previous video how to do that and read more. Okay, good. So yeah, so that is done. Now we want to make the our graph beautiful. So I said we want to relabel or recall the scale for the y-axis. Okay, so we're going to use plus again. We're going to plus it again. Okay, we're going to plus it. Yeah, we're going to plus it again and call scale y continuous. Okay, the scale y continuous, and I said that is for scaling the y-axis. Okay, now if we call scale y continuous, we're going to give or specify our limits. We're going to specify our limits. So we'll take the function, or sorry, the argument for limits, and we're going to specify what our limits should be. So we here it's from 0 to 75, but you could see that some of the bars exceed 75, and we want to know exactly the overall, okay, or the complete scale. Okay, so we're going to say we want to scale from 0 to, let's say, 150 or 120. We want to scale from 0 to 120, and we're going to specify the breaks, meaning that by what intervals should the scale y continuous be given. Okay, so we're going to specify the breaks, and for the breaks we're going to sequence. Okay, we're going to sequence. So we're going to say we want to sequence from what? From 0, just like we specified in the limits, from 0 to what? From 0 to 120 by what? By a difference of what? Let's say 20. Okay, so by a difference of 20, this is what we want to do. I'm just spacing this up so that it becomes seeable, if that is a word. Good. So this is it. Okay, this is it. So now let's run and see what happens. Good. So after running this, you will see that our graphs y-axis, okay, the scale for the y-axis has changed. We have 0 to 120, and they are being separated by an interval of what, 20. And I think this is okay. Okay, this is okay. Now the next thing we want to do is that we want to give a title to the graph. Okay, so to give a title to the graph, we're going to add a plus again, and we're going to call the function labs. Okay, labs. And if we give the function labs, we're going to select the title argument. So what title do we want to give to this? We could say let's say simple bar graph. I'll just keep it as simple bar graph. Simple bar graph. Okay, that's my title. If you want to label that of the y-axis, okay, if you want to label that of the y-axis as well, you could go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's run this and see. So when I run, now I have my title here, right? I have my title here. Okay, simple bar graph. But this is still not okay. We need a better graph. We need a graph that is good. So what do we do next? We would go ahead and then, you know, add a few aesthetics to the text and things here. And I wouldn't do everything. I'm just going to do a part of it, and you guys would do the rest. Okay, I want to make sure this video is as simple and as short as possible. So maybe the second graph would have to, so the second data set that we'll deal with, okay, I'll have to do it in another video. Okay, so here, back to this. So here we're going to call the function called theme. Okay, and from this function we're going to specify some few things. So for instance, we want to bolden the x and y axis. Okay, we want to bolden them. So to bolden the x and y axis, inside the theme function we're going to call the function for axis, or the argument for axis title. These are the titles. Okay, the title is student's name and math scores. Those are the axis title. Okay, and since we want to bold all of them at once, then we're going to go for this. But supposing we want to bold just the x, the title for x, then we're just going to go with this. Okay, axis.title.x. You could read more about this in the documentation so that you know how to go about things. Okay, but here we want to bolden all of this, so we're going to go axis.title, and we're going to call the element text function. Now in the element text function, we'll be asked that we have some few arguments. We want to specify the family, the face, the color, the size, and the adjustments and angles and all those things. Okay, you will have to read the documentations for these things. Okay, you can do that. I trust you guys. You guys are now becoming intermediates, so I trust you guys can do that. So here we want to bold. That is what we want to do. So since we want to bold, we're going to use the face argument. Supposing we want to give the font a color, we will use the color argument. Okay, so here we want to bold, so we just go and specify bold. Okay, bold. If you want to keep it plain or on bold, you go plain. Okay, but here we want to bold, so bold. And let's just add a color to it. So the color, we're going to make it dark red, or we're going to make it no, let's not add. Yeah, let's add the color to the title instead. Okay, so now we have done for this. Now we're going to bring a comma and then go to the next thing. Let's bolden that of the um, title and then give it a color. Okay, so to bolden it, we're going to call plot title. Do you see that? So the first time, um, since we wanted to bolden this, the axis, we call axis.title. Now we want to bolden the plot title, so we go plot.title. It's like it's normal English. Okay, so we go element text, and we're going to keep the face as bold, and we're going to also, you know, increase the size to, let's say, 16 or 14, and the color we're going to make it dark red, or let's say red. Okay, let's just make it red. Dark red is too dark reddish. Okay, good. So yeah, so this is how we have it now. Let me just extend this. This is how we have it now. What I'm going to do for you guys to, understand all that has been done is that um, this particular sheet, okay, this particular sheet or script containing this lines of code I have written, I'm going to share it with you guys. Okay, I'll share it with you guys. I'll provide two links. One link will take you to this script for you to download and use it, and the next link is going to take you to the Google Sheet, script. Okay, the one that particular link is going to have the URL. Okay, good. So now that we have done this, let us now run and see how things appear now. So when I zoom this, okay, this is how we have it now. A simple bar graph, this and that. Okay, I think this is looking, our bar graph is now looking a bit lively, right? It's looking a bit nice, right? Yeah. So you could add some few things. I mean, you could add some few things. If you want to change the font size, or if you want to specify a particular font to use, maybe you want to use, let's say, Times New Roman. I think for Times New Roman it's sans serif. Okay, you could have it this way, sans serif, and when you run, it says it's not found in the database. So since sans serif is not found in the database, there is actually another option. Okay, there's actually another option. Now let me teach you guys that option. I'll need you guys, if you want to have a whole data set of fonts to use, I'll need you guys to install these packages. You're going to install the packages extra fonts, and you're also going to store the database for, sorry, so you're going to store extra fonts, and you're going to store the extra font database, extra font, it goes extra font db. Okay, let me just cross check to see. I have it installed, so I'm just going to, good, so it's going to be extra font and extra font db. So this way instead, extra font and extra font db. So I need you guys to install these packages. Once you install this package, you would load them. So you have to load extra fonts, and once you are done, you're also going to load extra font db. You're going to load extra font db. Okay, going to load extra font DB. You load this, you load that. Okay, I have them already, so I'm not going to install, I'm just loading. Now what you're going to do is that in extra fonts, you're going to import a function called font import. You're going to import a function called font import. Now when you import the function called font import, you're going to set the prompt to false. Okay, meaning it shouldn't prompt you. Now what this extra font is going to do for you is that all the fonts you have in your PC, your default font like Times New Roman, Arial, Calibri, okay, all those things, it's going to, pull all of them out. Okay, it's going to import them, it's going to take all of them. So basically this is how it's going to be. When I run this, you can see that it's importing all my fonts, right? I'm just going to stop this. It will import all the fonts and store it in the extra font database. Now if it stores it in the extra font database and you want to use a particular font, so here let me keep it as import font using extra font. Okay, if you want to now use a particular font, you have to load the font. So you're going to use from the same extra font package, you're going to load fonts. Okay, you're going to use this package and it will load all the fonts. Okay, now since it has loaded all the fonts, I can now come to my, let's say, my plot title. Okay, I can come to my plot title. Let me just space in these ones. I can come to my plot title and call the family argument, which gives me the flexibility to specify the font I want to use. I can come to the family argument, and here I'm going to type Times New Roman, exactly as it is. Exactly as it is. Good. Also, if you want to know if you want to know all the fonts that have been imported, okay, you could still go extra fonts and then you go to fonts and it will tell you all the fonts that have been imported. This way it becomes easier for you to just copy. Okay, you can just copy, search through, get the particular font you want to use. So for instance, since I'm using Times New Roman, I can just come here, highlight or select Times New Roman, copy it, come here and simply paste. And once I am done, I'll just have to do what? Run my thing. And when I run, just look at this. You can beautifully see that our bar graph, the title, okay, has now been transformed. Okay, now we have it in the Times New Roman format. Okay, so I've taught you guys a lot of things, but I know it's a lot. Don't worry, I'm going to share the script with you. Okay, I'm going to share the script with you so that it will be a guide. Okay, it will be a guide for you guys. So here I'll say installing extra font and loading fonts. Let me keep it that way, loading fonts. So I'm keeping it this way. Okay, and maybe I should change the position so that it becomes easier for you guys to know what went on. Okay, so I'm going to cut this from here, and before plotting, okay, I'm going to keep that here instead. Okay, so that you guys will know what we did. Good. Now, like I said, I never created an object to store this whole code. I never created an object to store it. So because I'm using the plus, the moment I run, it takes effect. Okay, but ideally I'm supposed to create an object to store this. So I'm going to create an object, and the object I'm creating, I'm going to call its name as simple bar graph. Okay, simple bar graph, sorry. simple bar graph, and I'm going to now run. So if I want to see the plot, I'm going to print what? Simple bar graph, and when I run it, you will see my plot here. Now, after we have this plot, we can export the plot. Okay, we can export. So if you want to save it as a PDF file or an PNG, JPEG, or whatever it is, you go to save as image, and then you can specify, okay, from here, and also give a particular title to it and specify the directory. You can choose, if you want it to be on the desktop, you can choose the desktop, give a particular title to it. You could specify the width. If you do not like how it's clustered here, you could specify the respective width. Okay, if you see from my thing, it has been clustered, so I can specify the width, or I can just come here and expand this. I can expand this, okay, and it will automatically take the shape of the image I want to export. So you can see that it has changed, right? So now once you are done with this, you can just, download or save, and you have it. Okay, so I know I have rushed you guys a bit, you have to pardon me, but this is going to be a lot for you guys, so that you sit down and practice. Okay, thank you so much for joining. Remember, our next tutorial is going to be on the other data set. Okay, on the other data set. Thank you very much for joining, and please, we want you guys to share, we want you guys to subscribe, we want you guys to leave a comment. We want this channel to grow bigger and bigger. Okay, we need more people to join the R family, and there are a lot of things we want to do. Okay, and for those of you who are watching, for those of you who are joining, those of you who have subscribed, thank you very much. See you guys in the next video. Bye.